I still get a rush when I come back to Penn, in part because I see old friends like Daniel Hoffman and Peter Kahn and Mary Lou Cohen and what's his name here, who's been one of my favorite friends for nearly 50 years, and I'm so pleased to be part of this celebration. As you can see, I have a lot to say, but relax. Gerald knows that my mantra is out of Shakespeare. A little more than a little is by much too much. Some years ago, I put together a memoir for friends, and it's called Leaves from a Lucky Life, and my introduction reads as follows. My pen pal Gerald Weales, who reads everything, and hence knows when I have fired off a letter to a newspaper or magazine, thoughtfully sent me a quotation from P.G. Wodehouse. Every author really wants to have letters printed in the papers. Unable to make the grade, he drops down a rung of the ladder and writes novels. I mentioned to Gerald that my little memoir, Leaves from a Lucky Life, will consist of 3 acts, the first with a nod toward Emily Dickinson titled, This is My Letter to the World. He wrote back and, nodding toward Walt Whitman, asked how Leaves of Gas was coming along. When someone has known you for more than 40 years, the odds are pretty good that he has your number. We do what we can. And later on in my memo, I mentioned that I'm a devoted photographer, and I say I'm also addicted to the Xerox Center. As evidence, there follows a shot of the twice-mentioned Gerald, who will, oh, I know his sly ways, insist that it is included only because of the object he is holding. This, I think, is Pissy Mukins or Missy Pukins or something like that. And I actually, I have made copies for you, and I will leave them out somewhere during the reception so that there are a bunch of them, and you can have a picture of Gerald. Well, there's still more, so. Pissy. Okay, my comments come in 2 parts, first from the head and then from the heart. From the head, I'm reading from a letter that I wrote about Gerald 20 or so years ago. I've been reading Gerald Weales for more than 20 years and have known him as a colleague for more than 15. He's an exemplary humanist and an extraordinary human being. He is also, as even a glance at his bibliography reveals, one of the most productive scholar critics in the United States. I have read his 5 books on modern drama, his edition of Wycherley, his novel, and literally scores of his critical reviews. He always writes with grace, wit, and keen intelligence. And if I envy his style, I am also somewhat in awe of his range, which is nothing short of dazzling. In an era during which scholars increasingly tend to carve out a narrow field and provide commentaries on the commentaries on the commentaries, Weales is very much at home in all aspects of drama, both modern and earlier, with fiction, with literature for children. He has himself written 2 classics, with travel books, with studies of animals, and with virtually all phases of popular culture, from television and film to musical comedy. To all these subjects, he brings his remarkable intelligence, unfailing insights, and stylistic grace. I find his prose irresistible. His work in progress sounds wonderfully promising. I don't remember what it was, but he always has a work in progress, which sounds wonderfully promising and turns out to be wonderful. Finally, I would say that Weales works the way most people breathe or complain, that is, all the time. From the heart, a kind of David Letterman list of 10 reasons why having Gerald Weales in my life for the last almost 50 years has been an absolutely incomparable gift. Well, I've lost them. Just hold on 1 minute. This is terribly embarrassing, but we'll get there. Here they are, number 10. He's utterly unpretentious. He's the most unpretentious, no, Peter Kahn is. He's one of the 2 most unpretentious people I've ever known. I think it's a tie. I think it's clear that you can take the boy out of Indiana, but you never quite take Indiana out of the boy. That's 9. Number 9, he's the best person in the world, bar none, to go to the theater with, or to have dinner with, or just to be with. Number 8, he never met a cat he didn't like. And I've never met a cat that didn't like him. And I do have one now that he hasn't met. Her name is Betty, a.k.a. Betty Comden. And this is Betty doing a dance, which is choreographed by Martha Graham. And this is Betty Comden laughing her ass off while watching Michelle Bachmann on television. So this is for you, Gerald. Number 7, like me, he is an adopted uncle. He has all sorts of godchildren, Peter Kahn's children, Mary Lou and Hennick's children, Randy Ivy. We're godfathers, always a godfather, never a god, but he's a perfect godfather. Number 6, he sometimes laughs at my efforts to be funny, and he's always funny. Number 5, he brought into my life one of my all-time favorite people, and that's Nora Magid. We spent a lot of time together. They came to visit me in New Hampshire one summer. I was with them in Montreal. Nora and I took Gerald to the emergency room once. There's been a lot of drama, and I'm absolutely devoted to Nora. And I also brought pictures for those of you who are Noraites of Nora. I made a lot of copies of this, which with my cat Portnoy. So though they will also be back for those of you who would like to have one. Now, what was that? That was number 4. He writes with a quill plucked from the wing of an unusually eloquent angel who also has a sense of humor. As Irwin pointed out, his prose is absolutely quintessential, quotable, wonderful, incomparable. Number 3, he sometimes went on leave and made it possible for me to teach modern drama. And it's become an important part of my life. Number 2, he remembers every movie he's ever seen and every bit player and every major player. His memory is absolutely astounding. And number 1, and here if I get a little sentimental, Gerald, forgive me. When I came to Penn, it was a big deal. I had been teaching at a community college out on Long Island. Philadelphia is where my father's family are from. My father's father had gone to Penn. My father went to Penn. When he was 27, he was Secretary of State under Governor Gifford Pinchot, and he managed the entire budget for the state of Pennsylvania. I can't even do my income tax. But Gerald, when I arrived, took me under his wing. He became a friend almost immediately. It didn't matter that I was this green guy. He wasn't much older than I, but his bibliography already was astounding. It knocked my socks off, and I still haven't found them. And that was a long time ago. So I'm always feeling how grateful I am to Gerald that he, in effect, welcomed me to Penn, made me feel at home here, made me feel worthy somehow of being part of the Penn experience, and remained for all of those years and right up to now one of the dearest friends, the most adorable person in the world. So, Gerald, I'm just going to say I love you. I think everybody here loves you. And from one goy to another, mazel tov.